Yo! Video games.
All right, we're back. We haven't seen any movies since Ghost in the Shell.
That's right.
And we have spent the last 4 weeks talking about Ghost in the Shell. I still liked it.
I saw Fate of the Furious.
Did you really?
I saw that.
I was on that hype.
Was it
train.
fun?
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. It's
Good.
a lot of fun.
That's
to
all it
make
needs
fun
to be.
of. Yeah,
I didn't
it's
see
a lot
it.
of fun.
I didn't see it. So we saw...
Turn off your brain.
I saw your
Turn
name.
off your brain.
Oh, you saw Your Name?
Cricket.
Never
Yeah.
heard of it.
So it was like the biggest anime movie in Japan.
Oh,
ever.
that one.
The one that overtook Spirited Away because Japan's crazy.
Okay. Wow, really?
I saw it and I was like, I get it. It's their Titanic.
Oh, it's anime Titanic.
It's anime Titanic.
Well, we're talking about the most complete polar opposite of fucking anime Titanic.
Oh, yeah.
We're comic book insane. I could say this movie is schlock, but the most beautiful schlock.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I loved it.
It's the
Is
best
it really
kind of...
Guardians of the
I
Galaxy.
don't know if it's that opposite because so much was animated.
Well, yeah, that's true. So there is no more excuses. If people are like, you can't have your movie take place in space. We can't make Cowboy Bebop because we're going to have to make... when movies like Guardians of the Galaxy exist and they find a way to make this stuff possible, it's like, they do it. They just... There is nothing in this movie that, unless it's like a couple of scenes that take place in a normal environment that they can just shoot with a camera.
There's like one
one or two
where it feels like, hey, wait, here's the Canada shot. But
or
it's
something
probably,
like
It's probably
that.
not Canada, but it kind of feels like that Canada
But
shot.
Keanu's too old now.
Keanu's too old to
never
be...
make...
I don't know.
So I think I
can buy
probably
it.
speak for all of us. The first Guardians is like fucking great.
It is.
Guardians 1 is fantastic. It's to the point. It's simple. It's well done. It feels like it has heart.
Yeah, I think coming in, I think Guardians was my favorite Disney Marvel made.
Yeah.
Because it feels
movie.
not like a Marvel movie.
No, yeah, it feels fresh. It feels
feels
like, holy shit, this is like a change on the system.
Yeah.
All these Marvel movies are all serious and everything, and kind of Guardians 1 flips it upside down.
The universe that it puts itself in is only connected in that first thing to the Marvel, like... The Marvel conglomerate giant, because Thanos is like, it's like the first time you really see Thanos. You know, like they're just building up towards this guy eventually. And I'm going to keep it off as spoilers. We'll just go with impressions. Steve, how did you feel about Guardians 2, Electric Boogaloo?
It was the most charming Marvel movie
Charming as
you
fuck,
will
right?
ever see.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck
Up
yeah.
to date, anyway.
Yeah.
Who knows if they make like another one? But
It was like they had all
definitely the most.
It's like they had the charming shit and they just times 11.
Yeah,
Even more.
At times, it did feel kind of cartoony,
I swore.
but and I don't want to spoil anything, but there were certain scenes that felt super cartoony, but at the same time,
The characters are getting tossed around and there's not really any ramifications.
right, and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
the way they put it together, especially with the interactions between the characters and how they grew with each other.
Yeah.
Because you have to understand is that they introduced the characters in the first one, but this time they actually put the characters in moments where you actually get a sense of having empathy for the characters and getting a place of where they're from. And I felt that when I actually got to see this one, because I don't know anything about these characters, even from the comics to now. So I'm coming in brand new, and this is the first time for a Marvel movie coming in brand new. All the other Marvel movies, I know the comics, I know the characters. These guys, I'm completely new. So
I was the
them
exact same way.
introducing the characters to me makes me realize, dude, these are really cool characters. I'm gonna admit, when it came to Marvel 3 and they brung in Rocket Raccoon,
Who the hell is this?
who the fuck is Rocket Raccoon?
And
This
I
is
was
bullshit.
introduced to a ton of Marvel characters that I had no idea about through Marvel 2, and it was the exact same thing through Marvel 3, like Dormammu and characters like that. I was
And
just like, who the hell
I
is
was
this
the only
guy?
one who was on board with Rocket.
Right, and I'm like, what the hell?
I was like, yeah, it's fucking crazy little raccoon and he's violent.
and I'll be
nailed that
honest.
shit.
Yeah, that's still my favorite episode of the season.
And I'll be honest, even after Guardians 1, I still didn't really like the character, but now that I've seen part 2...
Oh, you mean Rocket as a character?
Yeah, Rocket
Yeah,
as a
he's
character.
meant for you to, like, they definitely tease that he's, like, a super asshole, and that becomes a key plot point in the film.
He wasn't that bad in part 1.
No, he really wasn't. They push him really hard in this one.
Yeah.
How did you feel,
This
Andrew?
one was...
You can go.
Go ahead.
this one was pushed really hard. Like, everything was pushed from the first movie. They pushed it, like, just, it's 5 times harder than the first movie. Everything was, like, the laughs were pushed, the actions were pushed, the emotions were pushed.
Yeah.
Some of it felt forced, but a lot of it felt genuine and good, man.
Yeah, a lot of it felt like it was everything they wanted to put in the first one, but we're all like, "There's no way we can make a serious."
And
movie.
then they get like
Yeah.
they get like the Deadpool effect where it's like, hey, it works. You gotta let us do it now.
It works. I kind of fear that in 5 years, the second one won't stand up as well as the first one will.
Maybe
Unless
not.
you've
Probably-
already seen
probably
and liked
not.
the first one.
Yeah.
Like if you watch the first one and then immediately watch the second one will still be okay.
Yeah.
But like the first one will stand up. It'll have that like it'll stand up.
It's a
in
character
5, 6
introduction story, and those always like resound harder. And
Yeah,
then,
they age better, and
Yeah.
one thing that they did really well here is that they didn't waste time reintroducing you to the characters.
Yeah, that's a very
Yeah,
good point.
Threw it in there, and
They
they're
did
like,
that.
you know who the hell they
They
are.
literally do that in the opening title sequence.
Yep.
Like everything leading up to the title sequence, and then they have a really cute title sequence. That's all the character building they needed.
The title sequence is literally like, remember, these are the characters.
Yeah.
And it's like 30 seconds, and then you're in it. I didn't even notice when the first act ended. Usually, like the first act ending is like this huge chop, and here you go.
Oh, I think I got the harsh first ending chop.
Yeah.
Oh no, I mean I know what it is in
Yeah.
hindsight and stuff, but I mean like normally, especially going through film school and through like screenwriting, like you have to pay attention to it. It's almost like, and the first act is kind of,
Can I just say that
smooth.
Groot is fucking adorable?
Yeah.
Groot
Yeah.
Even they
is
know
so
that.
fucking
Yeah.
adorable.
Yeah, they know that.
I love it.
They even address it in the movie, which is funny.
It's
Like,
fucking great.
Groot's
man.
adorable, but the main guy is Drax, man.
There was a Drax.
Yeah. Once
Drax
again, I
fantastic.
think Dave Bautista
Fucking man.
knocks it
Killed it.
out of the
Destroyed it,
park.
man.
Yeah.
Like they want to talk about Chris Pratt, you want to talk Baby Groot. No, Batista was by far the star.
Chris Pratt was almost boring in this one.
Yeah,
compared to him,
and that's the
Why?
thing.
Because they made him Hero Man.
That's the thing
Yeah.
that his character kind of takes a
Straight
this is
man.
sort of getting not spoilery. The main character kind of takes a side step to the story, and because he becomes a pivotal part of the story in the third act. But leading up to that, he's kind of not important, and it's the secondary things that are happening with Rocket and other characters that end up being really the big things.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, the first movie is about Chris Pratt, and Star-Lord, right? Star-Lord.
Yeah, right.
This one is about them as a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think that's one of the reasons why they had to I don't think this is spoilery, but why they had to have so many adversary agents is kind of like the term for them. Basically, they're bad guys, but not the bad guys. They're adversaries, but they're not the real bad guy.
Anti-hero.
We'll talk about that in a second because I want to definitely add on it because the structure of this movie is different than most Marvel movies in terms of how they portray a bad guy.
Well,
and everything like that.
that and the fact that it doesn't. One of the nice things about this film is that when we watched Doctor Strange, I was watching Magic Iron Man.
Yes.
Like, I felt like I was watching a formulaic as fuck Marvel movie.
Which was good though.
It was fine.
It wasn't bad, but it was just Iron Man light.
Yeah, there was nothing that really surprised me in the movie of Doctor Strange. It was well done. It was fast food. It was like it tasted good, but you knew exactly what you were going to get, and there wasn't any surprise.
It was a solid 8 at the end. It was good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's effective. It's fun.
At least with this one, it felt like okay, they're kind of they're doing wacky concepts. They're doing like kind of really out there. Just things, ass pulls and stuff like that. But which I kind of liked it because at the end of the day, like, and even in this movie, I have to admit, there were a lot of times where I'm like, he's going to do this, and you read the solving the problem way ahead of the characters. Like, exactly what's going to happen. Like, you see where this is leading up to. These characters are in this situation. They're going to find some revelation here. And it's kind of like there's a lot of that, like, where the hell this is going. So there is still that.
Well, the thing about this one is...
at least it wasn't just Marvel Iron Man 2.
There's no real sense of
Avengers.
danger or... like
Not until the third act.
Even then, like, they don't even try to convince you that they could fail. And that's why they up the charm so much more because...
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I don't
agree.
want to give too much away about the villain and but, like... At no point do you ever feel like the universe or the galaxy truly is in danger, even after Like, they don't really spend a lot of time investing.
And it's mostly because a lot of the movie is focused so much on the characters.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that it's focused on characters that aren't the main character
Yeah.
throughout a lot of it. And really, that ends up being, all the way up until the final frame, what is actually one of the most important things is how they're all evolving as characters and each other as family, which is good, which is structurally completely different than most Marvel movies.
It's crazy because I felt like a lot of the characters had an equal amount of time.
Yeah.
I
feel like Star-Lord actually had some of the least
amount of time, which is crazy. Like, it's
He
like,
definitely had the
interesting.
least time.
Which is nuts. I mean, that's a new thing for like, a kind of movie like that.
It went from him being the hero to this being an ensemble movie.
Yeah.
But also, like, one of the reasons why there wasn't really a need, maybe, or there was a need, but a reason why they didn't establish true danger or true stakes in this is it's hard to care about the abstract of the galaxy, which is why they cut to specific places we already know.
Yeah.
In the first one, they gave you a very specific planet to give a shit about.
Yeah.
And they gave you
the one that they
characters on
visited
planet.
repeatedly with a bunch of different like species variety and all that stuff.
And they said care about John C. Reilly. Care about his family.
Care about John C. Reilly. Care about the Nova Corps.
And then so when
Space
all
Police.
of a sudden they're like, we're going to sacrifice everything to save this, you're all like, yes, because that's worth saving. This, it's all
It's more
like,
general.
save Dairy Queen.
Yeah. Save Dairy Queen, yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
So
okay.
I guess from this point we'll just start getting into a little bit of spoilers.
Yeah.
Actually, we'll start. It'll be kind of spoiler heavy, but I think overall we all really enjoyed it. It's like it definitely carries the charm candle from the first one, which was probably pretty tough to do. And I'll just say this movie was fucking funny. Oh my god, there were some moments where there was a gag at the beginning that killed me, and I think I was the only one that like super laughed out loud about it. I felt super awkward after. There's a moment where the characters are looking at each other, and Gamora and Star-Lord are looking at and talking to each other, and they have this like relationship turmoil.
I heard you. Dude.
So there's this it's a camera gag, which I love camera gags. There's this moment where they're talking and there's like a lot of tension and she walks away and he's like looking charmingly at her, and then it cuts to a wide shot of Drax right next to him going, hey. And it like, it was like he appeared right next to him, and it scares the shit.
I got scared.
It startles Star-Lord, and it was so funny to me because they did it a camera gag with Drax.
That's where he goes.
I literally heard you laugh.
I loved it. I'm like, that's so
it's
fucking
funny
good.
because I was like, I could hear we literally there was so many different parts where we were laughing really loud.
God, dude,
I was like
the multi-port travel sequence. I was fucking Rocket's face killed me.
There's so many parts I want to talk about, but I don't want to spoil.
I heard Jessica laughing pretty hard.
Oh my god,
JJ was laughing a
Me and
lot.
JJ were fucking dying.
Can we talk about how good James Gunn's brother is in this movie? For some reason I'm blanking on his name, but
well,
the brother's
Michael
the right
Chiklis
name,
too, though. Michael Chiklis. Oh, but that was another thing. How it ties to kind of things that you had a little bit of questions about from the first
the dude
one.
from the fucking Shield was in this?
No, not shit. I don't know the guy's name. The bad guy from the Mohawk guy. Blueface man. I'm sorry. Rooker. There it is. It was a Michael.
Yondu was really amazing.
Yondu.
Well, that was the thing, is that the story ends up really being about Yondu.
Yeah, it basically is about him.
What's funny is that they establish his conflict even more than the main characters do at the beginning of the movie.
That's
and it's like, wow, there's something really personal happening with Yondu now.
Yeah, that's what I noticed.
And his arc, I thought, was better than Star-Lord's.
Fucking great.
Like, Star-Lord's has, like,
they built him way more in this one than they did in the last one. And what's funny is that the character itself is super OP as fuck, man.
Yeah.
Because he just destroys everything in his path by whistling. Yeah. But regardless of the fact is that you're still able to build something with that character. He
feels like the main character of the movie, and you might think that he's such a secondary kind of character in the first one. He absolutely is, but for the sake of the story they're trying to tell, which is Star-Lord feeling empty, and he's trying to find his what's left of his family, which is his father, and he does find, and that is the whole point of the movie. It ends up being an alteration of that story where it's going in a direction you're not expecting.
Well, the identity crisis is basically the theme of the film.
Star-Lord
has his.
Rocket.
Gamora and her sister have theirs.
Yeah.
Rocket and Yondu have theirs.
Yes.
Groot, not really, I guess.
No.
And really not even Drax.
No.
But, Drax is so good.
Drax has a moment, though. But he doesn't have... He's supposed to be that guy that has no he has no like illusions about who or what he
Yeah.
is because
Yeah.
he's 100% all the time.
Yeah.
But he has that moment, and there is a moment. in the
Okay, I
film,
think you're talking about what I'm talking
yeah,
about.
that will make you like,
Where-
oh shit.
Like,
Yeah,
no-
the part where then that's what the secondary character, the
Yeah.
girl.
Well, the thing is, here's the thing: Drax is the character who knows his identity. He's been through it.
Yeah.
He has had his realization of who he is, who his family is. And all that.
Yeah.
He's to the point where the other characters need to get to. Really,
Yeah.
if you think about
But
it,
then
in a
he's like,
sense.
he's to the extreme. But that literally, I'm pretty sure you're talking about what I'm talking. Was my favorite scene in the movie. It
The
fucking
part where-
blew me away.
I keep forgetting the girl with the antennas.
Yeah, the
names,
antenna.
Who is a fantastic supporting
Fuck
character.
yeah, she
Holy
came out of
shit.
the Mantis or
So like
she came out of the-
ridiculously
yeah.
charming
So-
character, the way she talks, the whole acting,
Yeah.
everything about it
Yeah.
is
Is
great.
she part of the original comic book?
I have no idea.
We don't know. We don't
No,
know.
none of us have ever seen it.
Yeah, because I'm
Yeah.
like, well, who are these kids? I honestly
No.
thought that
Probably not.
I honestly thought
Maybe.
Blue Man was part of the fucking whole thing, right?
I don't
Like,
know.
I honestly thought he was too. I was
really
like,
don't
oh, okay,
know.
he's part of the original.
Well, I
You
know
see him in the
Yondu.
fucking-
Yondu is a part of the comic, and like the prototype
Yeah.
fin that he puts on.
Right,
That's what he looks
That's
like
in
in
the
comic.
comics.
apparently,
Okay, okay.
yeah.
Well,
But
I just thought he was part of the group.
and that scene I think we're talking about really reminded me of a fucking this like powerful fucking like Pixar shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that
well,
was
powerful
that
Pixar
fucking
shit.
also because
man-
it was a completely CG in that scene.
Yeah, well,
around
yeah,
them.
but still.
that probably helped with the
But the
Pixar
thing, it was like
comparison.
a fucking just Wall-E, just like all that. I was like, fuck, man. I was like,
Well, here's the thing:
yeah.
Drax is not only funny, but he's also asking all the right questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of
Because
saying
He
all
has
the
no.
right.
He
Yeah.
has no
There's no
holdback.
chill.
Well, that's
Yeah,
one
there's no
really
chill.
strong part about the script is that like they insert the right question at the right time to make either like hardcore comedy out of a situation that could go very hard drama.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in a couple spots, like they hit it really hard on the nose, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, but
Yeah.
like, and that's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
But Drax is the perfect example of how to make a character that can say on the nose shit for comedic
Yeah,
effect.
dude.
Yeah.
It's just that they did it with like 3 other characters where you
There
kind of
were
like
there was a lot of dick jokes with Drax.
There's a lot of
There was
dick
a
and
lot of-
turd jokes.
Yeah.
You know why? Because the character itself is so innocent. He has no
Yeah.
idea what he's
Yeah.
saying. He's just.
Oh,
he kinda-
no. Drax knows what he's
Yeah.
saying. He actually.
He just doesn't care about the
Yeah.
ramifications. of
what is
he
it?
says.
says.
No,
I think, like-
they say they talk about in the first movie.
He's from a different planet that doesn't have that kind of empathy. I think it is.
No, it's not
No.
empathy.
Sarcasm.
He doesn't know
Sarcasm
sarcasm.
is,
He,
yeah,
he
no
speaks.
sarcasm.
He speaks clearly. He speaks plainly. There's no metaphor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He does not
yeah.
speak in any
No
metaphors.
metaphors,
He
no
does not
sarcasm.
understand
Yeah,
metaphors.
yeah, yeah.
He just speaks his fucking mind.
Yeah.
And there's moments where I'm just kind of like, yeah, I would have asked the same damn question.
I told him like this. Yeah, Simmons is totally the Drax of.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. There were moments where I'm just like, damn right, Drax is me. Drax says there's like 3 things in this movie
Yeah.
that are like so me
Yeah.
to like a T.
Mhm.
that
Man,
I
I
was
fucking like the whole fucking time I was kind of like Drax. I was sitting like that's.
I think the supportive characters were super good.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell was fucking great.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, he's always like.
He's always great. I straight grabbed Jessica, and I'm like, I'm really weirded out here. At the beginning of the movie, when they make young ass Kurt Russell, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah, that looked great.
They're getting good.
that
They're
looks
getting scarily
fucking
good.
I
At
heard
this
that
shit.
was majority just fucking makeup and shit.
Was it really?
Yeah, like
Yeah, I
people
thought
like
it was- I thought
we
it
were
was
talking
makeup.
about that at work, and they were saying, dude, he just looks like that. They just fucking cake some makeup
I
on
wouldn't.
him.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I was. It was at the point where I was trying to decipher whether or not we're looking at CG or
yeah.
heavy makeup,
Yeah.
because it's
It
been a
was
long
it looked like
time
makeup to me.
since I've seen Kurt Russell really young.
Yeah.
You know how you tell? The teeth.
Oh yeah,
His teeth are exactly the same in all the shots.
That's true.
Oh.
And CG teeth are fucked up.
Really?
yeah. CG
Yeah.
teeth are wacky.
They never.
The
hit
only
it
time,
right,
the
really.
only time I've ever been super convinced by what I'm looking at between being a CG actor and I had no idea, and I was just like, man, they must have put a ton of makeup on him. Was Civil War Robert Downey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At that movie, I was just like,
well, I mean, I don't know if you noticed, the people who did the makeup and
Yeah.
prosthetics
same people.
was Legacy.
Yeah.
Oh really?
So it's Stan Winston Studios.
Makes sense.
Who are doing the prosthetics, which I have to say, definitely the prosthetics makeup stuff looked frankly, a lot better than most of the CG shit.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the CG shit, there's no other way to do it. Like, it was like, there's just
Giant blob,
there's
fucking
just-
puke monster.
There's just no other way to do this, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it does look like Steve said, it does look kind of cartoony. Like, it does look like
The movie,
you're watching
the movie
cartoons.
definitely
Yeah,
is super
yeah.
cartoony-ish.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure,
yeah,
for
there's
sure.
a lot of cartooning. Well, not a lot, but there's certain
Like
moments
some of
that
the
feel like
planets.
super cartoony.
Yeah.
And the
Like
fact
the
that
planet.
Drax is indestructible.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, right.
It's kind of cartoony how
Not
he
even that, but
survives.
just like when they're going through that time warp, and you see the.
I loved it.
It was.
Yeah.
It was
I loved
hilarious,
it.
right?
Like
But
them
at the same time,
bending
it's like,
space time and their
Yeah.
fucking faces are looking real.
Well,
I love
like
that scene
like
so
this
much.
movie is like they sat down and they're all like, okay, well, what's everything we wish we would have done with these characters in the first one?
Didn't
And
have
they're all like,
time.
let's just throw it in here, and they just explored all the arcs again.
Yeah,
Why they have a villain that's just
Yeah.
kind of like, but you don't care because they have like what six strong arcs in there.
Well,
Not
yeah.
only Gamora, but
There's
Gamora's
multiple
sister.
villains.
Right,
Here's
right,
the-
right.
Well, here's
Yeah.
one of the crazy things is like I was saying with the structure of this film. There's no bad guy for forever.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what's
like,
crazy.
I'm like, this
Well,
just
there's
feels like a
multiple
day in the
villains.
life of these characters. I know it's eventually going to go the direction I think it's going to go, but the structure of a Marvel movie has, I can never remember it being this way. They have characters that turn, but there's always a central bad guy
Yeah.
that you're focused
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Well, that's why they had two sets of adversaries, right? They had two sets of guys that they weren't the bad guy.
The gold dickheads and
Yeah.
But they were the bad guys for the moment.
There was
And then-
the asshole space pirates, gold dickheads, and then the actual bad guy who's
Yeah.
revealed to be the bad guy at the end, the third act.
You know, okay, the problem with the first movies is similar to where the bad guy, you don't really give a shit about the bad guy.
Yeah, he's just
Yeah.
he is so generic schlock Marvel bad guy.
It's a Marvel movie problem in general right now.
Yeah.
We're kind of all building to Thanos, and a lot of the other villains are really suffering for it in other Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Like Avengers 1, the Chitauri was like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
there's Loki if you really
Yeah.
care about Loki. You know, and Avengers 2 was Ultron, which I felt was like a bright spot.
Yeah,
for
Ultron was really.
Ultron was
Because you
really
know
good.
why? Because he had character.
Because he had character.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you had like Rohan the Destroyer or whatever, and Guardians
Ronan the
or
Accuser.
Ronan, sorry, Ronan
But
the
he
Accuser.
has
Thank you.
he has the best backstory of any of the Marvel.
I mean, what
he
they
has the
presented
best-
in that
Yeah,
film
yeah,
was just like
presented.
big deal.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
Well,
they
he's-
reneged on a peace treaty, and I was like, I don't know this planet, I don't know this character,
No, that's
so
not his-
I don't
that's
really
not his
care.
backstory.
I think
at all.
Loki and Ultron are the two best ones.
Yeah,
out of
Loki
Marvel
is
right
good, but
now.
Loki is not really a bad guy.
Not
In
anymore.
the first Guardian of the Galaxy, the bad guy's motivation is that he does not want a peace treaty.
Right, he doesn't want it. Well, whatever.
He's a fanatic. He's a zealot.
Yeah,
and
I
so
get it.
he's going
I
to
just
genocide.
don't care.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Because
but
I don't
like
know him, and I don't know his planet he wants to fight, so they just build the whole movie
They
of
didn't
the
present it well.
Like, he's just, okay, he's a bad guy, and he doesn't want peace. Great.
Yeah.
Which
You
is,
know?
and that's
Like,
that's one of the reasons.
There's no
why-
sympathy there for me with the bad guy. I don't even... His motivation is like, what? He's a zealot. Great.
And that's kind of why I like
bad.
when I kind of like this movie and it kept it intriguing because you know where it's like going to go eventually, but how it's discovered to be the way it is. I think it was really good.
Yeah.
I kind of love
Yeah.
the fact that you have this like relationship that one character's wanted his whole life and he finally gets, and there's just really funny moments as a result of it. And then you find out what the character's true intentions are, and the things. That's that great moment where he says the one thing about his mother,
Yeah.
and he
Oh, yeah, and
completely
he flips
turns.
that.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
that
He was on his side
Great.
the whole time
Yeah.
until he said that, and then it was like, nope.
that
we're done.
reaction. I think that's one of the best written reactions I've seen in any Marvel movie. Like that.
Yeah, the moment was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, that moment was amazing.
Actually, I feel that the one that Tony Stark had when he realized that
Spoiler if you haven't seen it.
if you
but
haven't seen
you've
the Red Team, yes,
but
that they killed his parents.
Yeah, that moment was pretty.
That was
super
pretty
intense.
good too.
I,
Yes.
I also did not see that coming at all.
Nope,
Yeah.
not at
And
all.
that wasn't
yeah.
really good about it. Is that
Yeah,
they kept that
Yeah,
really
it's
like
like, oh,
underlying. You
fuck.
remember that part about it,
Yeah.
and you just think it's like part of Tony's life.
Yeah.
Civil
Yeah.
War.
No, Civil War.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like in all honesty, Iron Man's motivations for why he's doing what he does and why they're fighting is
Yeah,
pretty
pretty
fucking
fucking good.
great.
Yeah.
Sure, but it
Even
also,
the fight in
it
there was so
also
intense.
makes Tony Stark, and I think this was on purpose, look kind of like
A bad guy.
bitch
Yeah.
and an asshole. Because the same fucking thing happened to Black Panther, and he took it like a champ. Like
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
took it like
he was
a man.
noble about it.
Because he knew the guy was brainwashed. He knew what was like, Tony Stark knew the bad guy
Well-
was brainwashed, or Winter, or whatever,
Yeah.
Bucky was brainwashed. They both had the same thing happen. Their parents killed in front of them.
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
in
No,
front
not
of
in
Black,
front of you,
in
no.
front of Black Panther, not even
Yeah.
in front of Tony Stark, but
Right.
they both knew at the same time that he was brainwashed, and Tony Stark's just the big goober about it.
Two entirely different
black
characters, two entirely different relationships with their father, and one had closure, one didn't.
That's true.
That's kind of true because he was again Tony
They
Stark.
established that earlier.
Tony
Yeah,
Stark is
yeah.
the more flawed man,
Exactly.
basically.
Yeah, far
And I think
away.
that was, and I that's done on purpose.
I think in the comic books, his actual weakness is supposed to be alcoholism. He's supposed
Oh no,
to,
it's not supposedly.
Yeah.
They lightly brush on it in Iron Man
Yeah,
2.
too. Yeah, in Iron Man 2. Yeah,
They lightly brush on he's an
I guess they don't want
alcoholic.
to delve into that too much.
Because he's the hero, so like, hey, kids,
Yeah, they don't want to. Yeah, they don't want to show.
Don't get crunk. you know?
Yeah. Right.
But we kind of knew that was going to happen going into this whole Marvel movie thing.
I
makes sense.
really liked how they handled the main villain in this thing. I was like, man, when I'm hearing about how would they do that, and then like,
I was honestly
like, really?
waiting for the moment where he's working for Thanos.
Oh yeah,
Or some shit like that.
Yeah.
I was just
some kind of
waiting for it to
connection that he
happen.
was a
And,
thing, like,
and spoilers, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
He's like a celestial being. He's a god.
I have questions about that too, where they kind of like
They made him into our creator.
No.
but
He
they
finds Earth.
broad stroked it and then
He
just
finds Earth and
fucking
life is on it.
ignored
Okay, all right.
And the
From what I
whole thing is
gathered-
that he's a sick, disgusting god because he just goes around fucking everything,
Trying to make
literally
progeny,
trying to make another one of
for
himself, so
Yes.
he can fulfill his plan of being an ultimate dickhead asshole.
Right.
But the only product as a result is Star-Lord.
Yeah.
But Earth is there. Like he goes to other planets looking for life, and he paints it as this big, amazing picture, and it's just him running around fucking everything.
Shit.
Yeah, everything he can and planting seeds.
Yeah,
literally
inside of
yeah,
them.
literally.
Inside of them.
But I have questions. This is I don't know how major we want to get into spoilers.
we're a super spoiler at this
We
point.
got it. We're knee deep.
Okay, so Kurt Russell's like, oh, as long as I'm here, I don't age. Blah 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 blah. Well, okay, so his shell ages, but his fucking mind, like the brain at the center of the planet, that would still be there even if his shell died on some other planet. So his line of reasoning there is that supposed to be bullshit? Or are you supposed to be like, he's just
bullshit.
He's full of shit?
I think he needed to be close to the planet in order to keep
Well, there are two
his
things. The problem is he gives these different explanations at different points of film where one, he says he has to come back to like rejuvenate.
Yeah. He has to
But
come back to
then
the
that's
planet.
probably not true because then
He
he's
just builds himself bodies. out of
well,
nothing.
then he says like I couldn't go back because I didn't want to go back because then I would fall in love and I didn't want to fall in love.
And that story was bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, that,
Well,
that,
I don't.
whether
I
him
don't.
being
I
falling in
don't,
love was
I don't think it
bullshit.
is. That's why he. Well, that's why he does. Well, that's why he
gives her
plants
a
the
tumor.
tumor and leaves because he doesn't want to fucking fall in love with this chick. He doesn't want to be attached.
I thought it was
Which I
because
thought
he wanted,
was why.
I thought it was because he wanted to separate her from the kid because he wanted the kid for himself.
Well, he does that with. He says he does that with all a bunch of people.
Yeah.
But
That's
here's
why he
the
has a
thing.
sea
Here's
of
the thing.
kids.
In the thing, he's like, I just took the form that would make you feel the best.
Yeah.
And he changes forms immediately. So
Yeah.
I think he was just kind of taking that form. It's like, okay, I'm going to make myself a
From a
little bit
fatherly
older.
figure.
For a fatherly
Yeah.
I
figure.
mean, I like the idea. He said it killed me to do this
Right.
because, like you're saying, like, oh,
Yeah, he
I
was-
really did love her. I knew I would. I would
Yeah.
fall too hard for her, so I did this thing and left. And it was just like that's fucked up, but you're still a bad guy.
Right, of
Yeah,
course.
I mean, if,
and his ultimate plan is a bad guy. Yeah.
I mean,
Silver
the-
Lining
well,
is kind
his
of
name
once again, the
Ego.
best kind of villain.
his
the best
name is
kind of-
Ego.
Yeah,
He
the best
doesn't
kind of
actually
villains
see
are
that
the
stuff.
ones that don't realize that they're villains. I think those are the best ones. The ones
Well,
that think they're doing something positive for everyone. Or
Sure,
something like
but
But you have to
Ego is
believe
just
that.
kind of like
Yeah.
You have to believe that.
that. Yeah, you have to believe.
Ego's just kind of like okay, you just want to like fucking jelly the
Moving back to the
universe.
thing we were talking about earlier, the movie is really about Yondu. Like, that's
Yeah.
his name, right? Like,
Yondu.
ultimately, it's about Star-Lord finding out who his father is, finding his father, his actual birth father, which is a god, and then having a reunion, and then a realization that
with like a really, really on the nose line.
yeah, with a really on the nose line that changes all of that, and then it all comes together about why Yondu does what he does. And you think he is a dirty pirate asshole throughout the entire movie, all the way up until the very end.
Even in part one.
Even in part one,
Yeah,
that's the
Because
idea.
there's part ones where like I see things and I'm like, man, I didn't get that. Like, what's kind of going on? Like,
Yeah.
You know, when Zahn, like, when,
Yeah.
okay, so you've obviously seen part 1 where he puts the troll, and everyone's like, man, why are you fucking so nice to this guy? We're gonna eat him, you know? And, like, you're kind of wondering, like, what is going on? And then this movie just fucking nails that fucking...
They definitely hint at in the first movie that he feels...
but you don't really get it though. You don't like really see like
they don't really they didn't delve into that until now.
They're definitely more subtle about it. Yeah,
and they hammer it hard because it's like he's still protecting Star-Lord throughout the whole movie, and it's still having ramifications on his standing of his entire belief system.
Yeah,
of being a Ravager, a Ravager.
I gotta say, okay, and this probably doesn't bother you guys at all, but there's something that kind of bugged me about the tech in the movie, especially regarding the ending. Because they have those little spacesuits, which are like little soap things. Face, and you like, it goes over your whole body.
Yeah.
Couldn't you just use one for two?
Right? What? To me, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Drax is a huge motherfucker. If you squished 2 of the skinnier characters together and used one, that would realistically cover the same amount of mass.
More importantly,
I'm like, that just kind of bugs me. It's a weird nitpick, but it's just something that I'm like, I don't understand. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like...
There's a very big plot point in the first one where they actually went to NASA and found out exactly what would happen and how long you would survive in space, and Peter Quill survives that amount of time, and like they made a big deal about it because it's totally
actually what happens,
Yeah. But in this movie, everyone that gets shot into space dies within 5 or 6 seconds instead of a minute and a half like you would actually have. So, I mean, there's obvious, like...
For the sake of plot.
And then, like, the thing where you can... if I was kind of thinking about it, but then I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to let it happen because the movie wanted it to happen. Yeah. Star-Lord's helmet...
The movie wanted it to happen.
Star-Lord's helmet makes him breathe in space. Part 1... Gamora, she gets shot into space, and she's like, "Oh, hey, Gamora, take my helmet." Puts the helmet on. You know, Star-Lord didn't have his helmet with him.
Yeah,
it broke. It literally shattered in half during the fight.
Oh, right, when he pierces him with his space.
Yeah, they specifically show a shot of it.
Oh, okay. You know what? I didn't see that.
Either way,
here's the thing: there's so much going on in this movie. You kind of need to see it again because
there's a lot
jokes and
but either way, though, there's a point. There's a point in the movie where I feel like this. By the technology of the movie, this should have not been a problem to overcome, and it would have led to a really great joke where they have to where 2 characters have to get really intimate in space, like really hug each other real hard. And they'll be like, that would have actually been a funny joke, but I get it. They had a story to tell. They wanted to have this emotional payoff. So they have to do it this way. But it's one of those, like, as Andrew likes to call it, light bulb moments.
Yeah.
Although my light bulb went off immediately as it was happening. I was like, why the fuck? Whatever.
I'm about to get insanely spoilery here, but at the end of the movie, I think it was like in the credits, I believe, the gold people, the gold people, the queen.
Okay,
she pretty much says, "I created this baby, and its name was, I'm not
a birthing apparatus or something like
that." Is that canon as well as the comic books? I have no idea who she's referring to.
That is a real character.
I'm only assuming that it's referring to something. It's Adam in the comics, and I have no idea what the hell that is.
Right. Well, that's a
villain in one of the
Captain Marvel.
Really, the only thing
Captain Marvel or Marvel.
Isn't there a? I thought there was a character in one of the fighting games that named Adam.
No, there's the Adam
from
DC.
Black
Adam.
DC is what
Adam. Black Adam.
DC has
it's called Mr. Adam, I believe. And that's a.
It's
Captain Marvel.
It's not surface level, like basic fandom Marvel comic stuff that they're trying to reach into the barrel.
Yeah, exactly.
So it does make sense, but there is still, like, they still carried over one huge element from the first movie, is that a character does have to, like, pass on in some way, and it was Groot from the first one sacrificing himself, and then he comes back in the end.
I love Groot in this movie.
Yeah, and then this one it was Yondu sacrificing himself. So they've kind of carried a similar plot point twice, but the emotional attachment of Yondu's actions and why he's doing what he does is so fucking well established throughout the whole movie, and it's not apparent that this is what's going to happen to him. That this movie's a character movie. Like, it's got a bunch of spacey sci-fi action horseshit around it, but it's mostly just all about the characters.
A lot of people forget about the sisters. I actually kind of like it.
Sister relationship was great.
Yeah, actually, fantastic. Yeah, I love that. I love the fact
it just echoes the broken family aspect.
I think if there's any kind of flaw to the movie, though, is that they kind of do this kind of like really up and down thing where it's like character revelation moment, for this character. Then in like a quiet scene, the character revelation.
Oh,
like,
well.
Like we have our emotional payoff. Every character gets an emotional payoff, and at one point I got when we were getting to the end of it, I was like, okay, there's a lot of character emotional payoffs in this movie.
But there is a lot. But you think in 2 movies they have more emotional payoffs than most of all these Marvel universes themselves.
It just feels like it almost feels weird though, where it's like.
So the big emotional payoffs are obviously
it's
Yondu.
bigger than any. Yeah.
Big emotional payoff is Rocket recognizing what's wrong with him, and then the other one with the sisters, and that's about it.
Star-Lord, where he's playing ball.
Yeah, Star-Lord with his father.
Stuff like that. So
they all have their own arcs. That's what's most impressive.
And then Simmons is right.
Drax has an emotional payoff.
Yeah.
They all have their own distinct arc, and that's why it was almost annoying to round it up at the end.
Right.
Like your last third of the film is just trying to like, bam, here's his climax, here's their climax, here's their fight, here's this, oh, and this is going to pay off, this is going to tie. And so you're just watching like boom, 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 boom.
That's like the only like real problem. It's hardly a problem.
Yeah,
it just doesn't feel like a clean payoff.
Yeah. Basically it makes it a little uneven because like usually with the 3-act structure, there's like your introduction and then there's like your low point, then you rise to your challenge and you have your send off in the high.
Yeah.
This one it's kind of like up and down with low and high points really really sharply going.
Yeah, because again
there's so many stories being told.
Yeah, they cut up everybody's arc and did it in different spots so that you don't get emotionally attached.
And the funny thing is that they still have so many emotional arcs and payoffs throughout the film that are well written enough where they don't have a ton of dialogue and a ton of time on screen, but they're effective. And they still completely work by the end, where in the end of the movie, every single character except pretty much Groot has given like a different purpose about who they are and what they think about things around them, which is pretty damn fucking crazy considering all the crazy other horseshit they have to shove into the film that are executive orders.
There's it's interesting because to have an effective character arc, you only need 2 scenes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how short or long the scenes are. Basically, you have to have your character flaw has to be stated, usually by the character themselves, as well as expressing what their shield is. And then they have to have failure and subsequent overcoming of that. Right. So, for instance, Peter Quill says, I need to find my father. I can't remember exactly the line. But he gets mad at Gamora. I came here, to figure that out. There's his character arc begins, and then he hits like a, where he doesn't. I'm not buying it. That kind of thing. Oh, he's not ready, and then he accepts, the real family that he has at the end, right?
Well, that's put into question early from Gamora.
And then but Gamora has her own scene like that, and they're just faster. They're actually cleaner for every character other than Peter Quill in this one.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It ultimately boils down to Peter Quill is kind of a supporting character in this movie, and much of the story is focused around the other characters. And does it make it less interesting? No, it really doesn't.
No,
it's still
not.
Super good.
It's not uninteresting at all. It's like I almost kind of was like being hit with like, oh my god, everyone's getting an emotional arc.
Almost
it's a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. It's not a Peter Quill Star-Lord movie.
Which was the first one.
Yeah,
which
I kind of like, in a sense. I like that they're treating it as an ensemble and not as Peter Quill and friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's kind of like what happened, like one of the reasons, say, our friend Mike fucking hates the Resident Evil movies. And I hate him for all the same reasons and more. They're just
too much on.
It's just here's my hot wife, and occasionally there's these characters from the games. Fuck them though, but my wife's hot and she does cool shit.
So if you think about it, what would happen? Like, okay, when they actually bring in the Avengers and they bring in the Guardians of the Galaxy and they do this whole giant movie, do you think they're just gonna get like a quick little cameo, or do you think they actually put them in?
It's gonna be hard as fuck to do, right?
Right? There's so much
that movie.
There's so many characters.
All right, so here we go. What makes me sad about it though too is like I really thought they were gonna, like you said, there's no Thanos. I thought literally maybe there would be a lot of Thanos in this. So when that shit goes down, it's like, oh, dude, we fucking know Thanos, man. He's been fucking shit up around. We've seen a lot. We can tell you.
But
the Guardians have barely even seen it. Only the sisters.
I think it's gonna be.
This is the thing, is that of all the Marvel Cinematic Universes, the only characters that have like a direct connection to what is the ultimate bad guy that none of the characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe even fucking know about are the sisters. Everyone else, the Dark Lord Dickhead from the first Guardian movie with the hammer. That he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead.
But everyone else were pawns of Thanos, and I don't think the character. No one even knows he exists.
Yeah.
And I thought they were going to start hinting towards that.
Yeah,
like,
right.
They were going to hint
Start
that
building,
the
start
celestial father
Serious.
absolutely knows that this is out there, and we're going to take over the universe
he made
together.
mention of an Infinity Stone.
Yeah, he did that because
you
he
get a
said,
name
"Oh, my
drop.
You
son."
held it.
Yeah, he held it. That's how
He
you knew
name
he was his
drops
son.
that, and then you hear name drops of Thanos, and that's
Gone,
about it.
gone.
You
Nothing
get
else.
no other real connections to
Nothing
the
else.
upcoming, brawl, like Brawler Knocker, or whatever you want to call it. For
Yeah,
Avengers.
yeah.
Oh man, whatever that next Thor movie looks fucking great.
Thor Ragnarok,
yeah.
which I gotta say, that looks like the first time I'll go pay money to see a Thor
Yeah,
film.
I've not
in
seen a
theaters.
Thor movie, but I'll see that one.
That
Which-
one looks like a lot of fun.
Here's what I didn't know. We all know Jeff Goldblum's in the movie because of the fucking trailer.
Hell yeah.
You know Sam Neill's in it as well?
Really?
Yeah,
Well, here's
I
the
heard
thing,
that, but I don't know.
you know,
who
Sam-
he-
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't even know Sylvester Stallone.
I didn't know Sylvester Stallone was in this movie.
Right, right.
Yeah, and he plays a
And
small
it's-
supporting
none of
role.
these
Honestly,
trailers,
I
nothing.
think that's kind of
Put him in
awesome
there.
that,
Yeah.
that they're putting Stallone in the Marvel Universe. I think that's great, but
They hint
Yeah.
at a possible spin-off at the end of the movie, which
Right.
is full of characters I've never seen or
Oh
heard
my
of
God.
before.
Again,
Yeah, that moment right there, I actually thought, like, no fucking way, they're actually going to try and do a spin-off.
yeah.
No, I
Because
think
there's
that's...
going to be apparently James Gunn, who's the director and writer and everything, mostly for like the first couple Guardians movies.
Yeah.
He is writing and directing the third one, and then he's done.
Yeah,
Right.
he's
so-
contracted to do the
Everyone
It's
is
like
contracted
his-
to 3.
Yeah,
it's always 3.
And this cinematic universe, which is the Guardians movies, which are very different from the other Marvel movies, are kind of like his baby.
Yeah.
And he proved that it could work, and it does work. So I don't know if I'd be interested in anyone else doing it
They,
after.
Yeah, same here, man.
Guardians star all of the people that were prominent in all of his early films.
Yeah.
It's all of, like, there's a bunch of callbacks to jokes that he made in his
Yeah.
early films, like
Because
Slither.
James
and
Gunn
stuff like
was the guy that made what? Like he made like that.
Slither.
Slither
Slither is the big one that was
Scooby-Doo.
like,
Scooby Doo.
well, he wrote Scooby.
Who was the guy that made the big
Scooby-Doo.
troll movie of like giant monsters? Like, and he ended up being a Marvel director. There was like some like found footage kind of movie of people finding.
Troll Hunter?
Oh no, there was
hunters.
J.J. Abrams and Cloverfield?
No,
Yeah.
I think it's called Troll Hunter.
Troll Hunter.
Yeah, and then that person ended up going to make like here. Let me just look it up. Talk about something else.
All right,
Yeah.
no,
But
but
no,
I'm
no,
gonna
here's
talk
the thing.
about.
James Gunn wrote Scooby-Doo, and I have to say this right now. That is the absolute worst fucking film ever made with a major production by a major movie studio.
Yeah.
Now, there's bad films out there like Manos Hands of Fate and all these like production woe films. A major movie
Manos Hand
studio
of
with
Fate.
the budget, with the wide release, that is the absolute worst fucking film I've ever seen that falls into that parameter.
Yeah, but
It is
Manos
so
Hands of Fate?
No, Scooby-Doo.
No, but you said damn, that movie's.
Like Manos Hands of Fate is like one guy on a budget. I'm talking about like a
Major budget.
movie
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
studio with a major budget and wide release across the world movie with all that going for it. Scooby-Doo is so fucking bad.
Mm.
The
Yeah,
only
you
thing he
can't
had going
hold-
for it was Scrappy-Doo being the villain.
Yeah.
You can't
That was
hold James Gunn responsible necessarily for it because you now have seen 2 movies in a row where he got to write.
Well, that's
and
what I'm saying.
direct and
I
got the
can't. No.
majority of
What I'm
control.
saying is I can't
Yeah.
believe this came from that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like.
Well,
you know,
it goes-
if that was his only thing, if that was the only thing I knew about going in, I'd be like, oh, this movie's going to be a disaster. But
And
now
I felt
it's like,
the exact same thing about Logan. You know,
Yeah.
the director,
Yeah,
the
James
director
Mangold.
he directed the other Wolverine movies,
Yeah.
and they were just
Yeah.
it's the same dude. But
Fuck.
then you see what happens when you actually like when a director is actually given possibly the creative freedom to do what he kind of wants to do.
Yeah.
And he doesn't
Oh, yeah.
have to deal with the intervening of studio business throughout a lot of it, which happens so much in the industry.
It's-
This isn't just about
Maybe-
art on
maybe-
picture on screen.
yeah,
It's,
Maybe Zack Snyder could do
it's about
good
making
because
fucking money, and that's what
Well,
the
they say
execs
you
do.
can only portray the character that we want you to portray him
No,
as.
you know,
like,
you-
what I
you
mean?
know,
And it's
Zack-
difficult to
Yeah.
create a character
you
from
know,
there.
Zack Snyder's not good because he did have complete, full creative control and budget for a movie, and it was called Sucker Punch.
Ooh, okay,
And
there you go.
and it wasn't good.
All right, there you go.
Well, I mean, Zack
Maybe he was
Snyder is
still learning.
amazing.
He was still learning.
If Zack Snyder had to tell you a story in 3 minutes or less, he's probably the best filmmaker in the world at it.
Sure, because he's a music. He looks like he makes
His-
music videos that are
his-
stupid long.
Oh, wow.
If you watch any of his movies, his openings tell you a clear, concise. I mean,
And then
actual-
everything after that is not
yeah,
that.
and then after that, it's kind of like he blows his load on his first 3 minutes. It's obvious.
Yeah,
But-
so like Dawn of the Dead did
'Cause
that.
here's the thing,
and
all of his
and
movies do. The
BVS
Watchmen tell you
did
an
that.
entire alternate
Yeah,
history,
Watchmen,
and it's interesting as
and it's
hell.
interesting as fuck. And then that movie's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
300.
Okay.
Look at 300. The first 5 minutes where they describe Leonidas coming up and how he became king,
yeah.
and you're just sitting there like, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, he killed the
300's
friggin' wolf.
300's his best film.
300 is
Yeah, okay,
definitely his best.
I would say that for what James Gunn had to do, which is to still stick all these interesting characters and all their quips and all the humor, and then still make it
you care about them.
work and make you care about them and make it still fit in with this horrifically complicated Marvel Cinematic Universe where all these movies have to tie in now,
Yeah.
which is like 18 movies long or some shit. I don't even know.
Yeah.
And you could still portray all of it as effectively as it has been within 2 movies, and he didn't fuck it up a second time, is pretty impressive.
You know, the shit of it is if they would have, if DC would have courted James Gunn first and got him to do Suicide Squad,
Shit,
Suicide
man.
Squad,
Right.
Suicide Squad might have been good.
Yeah.
Fucking A, man.
And
'Cause that's
here's
all
the
I
thing.
think about.
Marvel is taking chances and has been from the beginning
Yeah,
on TV directors that have shown promise,
Yeah.
or they've literally told the director, okay, we want you to sign on for 3 movies so that these 3 movies are all consistent. Have at it. You know, they give them...
Yeah.
Now, Joss Whedon made a very specific plan about how each movie has to go and connect and stuff, but basically, other than that, have fun with it. It's
Yeah,
yours,
man.
you know?
Yeah.
Look at Ant-Man. I'm blanking, unfortunately, on the director of Ant-Man, but Ant-Man has all this charm and crap packed into an otherwise completely forgettable throwaway.
Although
Right.
there's a big
And
story.
Max loves that movie.
Oh, I hate
there's
it.
there's
So
a,
good.
well,
So good.
there's a big story behind
I
that.
felt it so hokey that I could barely watch it.
I
But
don't.
it has, like, I mean, it's...
But
He loves it. He loves
I'm
it.
still on Joss Whedon's
He
side.
loves it.
I want to know what Edgar Wright's version of that movie was going to be before he walked on it.
Oh, you
Yeah.
You know, he
that's
said
fair.
that Joss Whedon said that was the best script that Marvel. That was the best Marvel script ever written.
It was just certain things in that movie that like irked me, where it's like, I'm getting out of prison, my life is gonna start over. Hard cut to scene of him working at a Baskin Robbins. I'm like, all right, that's pretty fucking. And then he goes home, and his roommates are a bunch of vatos, and they have this like accents, and we're gonna go do all this crazy stuff. And he's like, I'm not gonna do crazy stuff. This movie's trying super fucking hard.
Okay.
I found it to be hilarious. I'm sorry.
no, I mean,
love
I
it.
agree, man.
I didn't find it
I'll-
funny. I just
give
found
you
it
that.
like
I low key
dumb.
thought about that.
I'll agree with that, but, like, that fucking side character, his roommate, is the best character in any Marvel movie I've
Right?
seen in a
I
long time.
love it.
He's a vato that fucking loves wine, rosé specifically, and art openings.
Right.
And he always gives up the information. Like, it's just a stupid, good little character that's just like, it's just
I think
tucked away in this
it's so bad. It's
otherwise pointless.
It's so bad it's
the
good.
fact that it's like T.I.
good. Right.
plays this
So-
other
yeah,
that
T.I. was a fucking
plays the
nerd.
getaway driver.
Yeah, and he was like, this
Like,
kinda
those
hokey
two
nerd.
characters make that whole movie
It
worth
was
it.
fucking hilarious.
They do. Like the part where they come around the corner and there's all those cops and there's like, and which apparently that was improv, where like it just cuts to
really?
them being like, back it up, back it up, back it up, and they're just calmly trying to drive away from the cops in reverse.
Yeah.
That's all improv and shit.
Really? Okay.
Those character moments make that movie pretty friggin'
And
great.
it was those character moments that cringed me the fuck out.
Fucking hated it.
I don't know.
All right.
It's like,
No.
That's
It's
fine.
just something about it. It's like
yeah, I get you. I get what both of you guys are saying.
And I
there
didn't
is-
see it.
There is like
Yeah.
similar
I don't-
kind of humor in other movies, which I find and tolerate. It's just in Ant-Man, I was just this for some reason the line has
Yeah.
been drawn for me. I
Yeah,
don't know why.
yeah.
Well, I
it rubbed you the
understand.
wrong way.
It's
No.
yeah.
Yeah, it rubbed you
Well,
the
the
wrong
thing
way.
is like I don't think there's anybody out there that could possibly be offended by someone saying I didn't like Ant-Man. It's like
Yeah,
most
exactly.
people are. I can't quote more than like 3 lines from that movie.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
I remember is that it made me laugh, and Paul Rudd possibly
Paul
could
Rudd.
have.
I
Paul
like
Rudd
him.
could do.
He's got character.
Yeah, he
He's got
does.
character,
I mean,
he's
he
got-
started as a soap
He's
opera
super
actor, so
forced into Civil War, though.
You're
He's
right.
like, my name's Ant-Man, and I'm here as well.
But I loved him in that. I really loved him.
He's really good.
He's
Like,
very good.
he's like,
Yeah.
He's not as kooky.
oh, I have a
as,
daughter and a lot of stuff on the line with my family that I'm trying to protect, but I'll just help you out, no problem.
I think him.
That's
and
a good
and
point too. We're reviewing this movie too. Fuck it. But no, yeah.
Yeah, I
that
think
was
him and the
really
kid
good
from
points.
Spider-Man both have really good charm, and that's why they chose those actors to play those parts, because both of those
Well,
characters are really, really good.
But none of the other characters really had that charm. It was Spider-Man and Paul Rudd.
That was
everyone else was macho, tough guy.
Dull, but
Marvel is killing it because they're treating all their movies as serials or episodes in this overall season of a show, and that's why they're getting really great TV directors that know how to make a show that flows and have arcs individually that also fit into this.
You can't help but wonder though, did Guardians shift a lot of tone, or not tone, but did Guardians help soften up Marvel for other things? I'm talking specifically like Thor Ragnarok.
Ooh, because Thor.
Guardians proved that you can make a movie with a really out there concept with really weird characters and make it work. You just make them funny, relatable, blah blah blah. And so it almost seems like when they get to now we're at Thor 3 and we're like, gosh, nobody really liked those first 2 Thor movies. What do we do? I don't know. Like we've kind of proved you can do.
And this looks like Guardians.
Yeah,
Guardians
you
with
can
Thor.
you can do zany sci-fi stuff and have fun with it. And how about we do that for Thor since he's in space?
It showed up a little bit in Magic Man. What is it?
Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
Doctor Strange. It showed up a little bit there too. There was a little bit of that kookiness and liveliness.
Like I think
that wasn't there.
Loosened them up a little
Since
bit.
Joss Whedon being involved, that shit's been there.
Yeah.
All of his movies are irreverent and have those moments where they totally take
but
a
he
step
came
back.
in.
That guy's playing Galaga. Like that kind of shit. Like
Well, that started with
with
Avengers 1.
Well, but like Joss Whedon. That's
But like
his
even
whole style.
Avengers though isn't
You know what I mean?
isn't out there.
No,
conceptually.
not at all.
Okay,
No,
there's
but
an
by the time
alien
you
race, but that's it. It's still just the guys on Earth doing their thing.
Yeah, but by the time that grew into Ultron, you have these character moments that are kind of out there where Hawkeye is making he's making real on-point observations of, we are in a flying city, I am fighting a bunch of robots, and I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense.
You're right.
And then he gets up and he pulls out a bow and arrow, and he's all like, a flying city, robots. And then he kicks open the door. And it's just this moment that's so Joss Whedon it hurts. Like it's literally like Joss Whedon hitting you in the face with his dick and being like, my legacy. Like that's...
Yeah, but I mean like, just the plot.
No, I know. Whedon opened that door for James Gunn to even be a possibility.
Probably.
Because no one would have been like, let's get the guy from Slither.
Yeah. Where do you think that comes from? Like Slither of all fucking things.
I guarantee you, it was not the director's filmography that got him the job.
He went in there and he pitched something hard.
That is how these people get this work. That is how the guy that did Godzilla got like Rogue One.
And I think it's because it's such a crazy franchise. Like, fuck it, we got to do something different. We can't go with Guardians being space Avengers,
and that's kind of where
risk.
You got to give Marvel, and you got to give Marvel especially props for they have not made a really shitty movie in a long damn time. Yeah. Like there has not been a shitty Marvel movie, and it's almost like
Blade 3.
I don't even think you got
counts.
ever since the cinematic universe has come up. I don't know if you can make a shitty movie now because they have a formula. It works. There's enough people that are working in the higher ups in terms of script writing and production that actually know how to keep things tied down where they don't. They must have the most fucking amazing production managers because all these movies come out on time. They're not delayed. They're all setting up for the next movie. One doesn't come out earlier than the other, which sets up some crazy dumb story thing.
I'm telling you, man,
it's
TV
all working.
Directors and TV
and that's really what it is. It's
like
a lot of TV production people because TV's better than a lot of movies nowadays.
Oh fuck yeah!
And they're just sticking that into movies.
There's it's really like I've heard it called the $1 billion formula. And there's a reason why Whedon has a non-compete clause that has lasted to he's now maybe going to do Batgirl.
Oh, no, he is. That's the thing.
That'll be great.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I don't know that it's a thing.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it's confirmed, 100%.
Whedon going to DC is the best thing to happen to DC.
Well, yeah. If he goes to DC, it might actually save DC. Because if they can convince him to do what Marvel convinced them to do, if he's only going to do a one-off, they'll have one good movie. Yeah,
that's what I think. It's literally just a one-off, but they're letting him just do the whole thing. Like you do it, you do you, buddy. You write and direct it. Just
if they could get him to take over that umbrella position that he took over for Marvel for a few years. I mean, I don't even know if
he wouldn't.
Marvel would have him killed. He gave them a formula, like he built a formula over the course of like 6 or 7 years of like, this is all you need to do to make money forever.
Well, the funny thing is,
You know,
is that
like,
is Marvel and DC really in competition with each other?
Well, not with the way DC's
Not with the way they're at right
handling
now.
themselves.
No, but now that Disney owns Marvel and Star Wars, Disney doesn't compete with anybody.
They don't really compete with anybody. It's
Disney
like,
has money printed.
it's
for
to
us.
the point now.
Disney
Do you
competes
think,
with themselves.
do you think the average movie theater goer that goes to see like MCU movies or just comic movies in general, I'm only going to see Civil War and I'm not going to see BVS? I think a lot of them saw them both.
Yeah.
More saw Civil War, though.
Well,
More
sure, but at the same time, it's because BVS had fucking horrible reviews, and Civil War was pretty good.
Yeah.
You come home and you tell your friends it was pretty good, they're going to go see it.
You know what it is? I honestly don't believe that there is Marvel fans and DC fans. I think they're just comic book fans.
Yeah.
Just comic book fans.
Yeah, which
nowadays,
is all weird. When
yeah.
when who was it? David Ayer, the director of Suicide Squad, like he was on stage during the premiere of Suicide Squad. He's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, fuck Marvel, yeah!" And like he yelled out from the crowd.
Yeah, like, right?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
it's on film, dude.
Wow.
You can see it, and it's just kind of like, I don't.
Those
think,
are the weird ones.
Look, I don't
Those
think
are the
there's
weird
this. I
ones.
don't think there's this console fanboyism.
Yeah.
I'm sure it exists
I
in
just wanna
very
see
small
cool shit.
numbers.
Yeah.
I just want to see cool stuff, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a DC fanboy, not a Marvel
I just
fan.
want, I just
wanna
want
see
movies
cool
that make
things.
me give a shit.
But here's
Right.
the thing, though. Like,
Yeah.
we go see Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like, oh, the Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah.
Oh, we had a great time. It was a fun movie. But, you know, every DC movie we came out of last year was like,
Oh,
oh.
Christ.
You know, it was just...
Jesus
And, like,
Christ.
Kenny even said it, which I didn't think was possible for Kenny to say. No offense to you, Kenny.
No,
But
it's
you,
all good.
you
It's
were
all
just
good.
kind of like, I have no... I just don't even care about Justice League now.
Yeah.
Like, they've beaten my care out of me. And I'm like, I can't
Yeah.
believe Kenny would...
Wait, Simmons! Time portal! You gotta care! You have to care! Who am I? You don't need to know!
Portal, yeah.
Is,
Fucking Flash came out of. Oh,
is,
God.
is Benny the key? Or
Yeah,
like,
Benny's the key!
Benny's the key!
Use Benny! Oh!
There's this
so
interesting
bad.
thing that Marvel did correctly, and that Whedon, like, straight up, like, in an interview, they were all like, oh, you know, DC's making their TV universe too, and their TV universe is way better. Their TV franchises are
Right,
way better than the
exactly,
movie
yeah.
franchise.
And their animation series.
Well, here's what happened is, like, when they were like, oh, how is Marvel going to go into it? And he's like, well, we're just going to make the TV show apart overall. It's going to be filling in the gaps of all the little things that happen between the movies that you don't know about. And they're like, oh, so these characters are going to exist in the movie universe too, technically? And they're like, oh, yeah, totally. And then they were like, DC, are your TV characters going to exist in the movie universe? Like, oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, it's
No,
really
we're going to
weird.
have two
Yeah.
different people playing the Flash, even though
Yeah,
everybody
right.
loves this guy playing the Flash.
Right.
We're going to have two people playing Arrow, even though everybody loves this guy playing
And
Arrow.
that kind of
Yeah,
follows
yeah,
suit
yeah.
to the old Superman shit, too, where
Yeah,
it was like
it's just
different
like, how
Supermans.
dumb can you possibly...
Yeah.
You have a
But
very
alright.
popular franchise.
We're getting into the DC
We are,
world
yeah, no,
and
we're
all
getting-
that kind of shit.
we,
We're talking
uh,
about Guardians.
To boil it down, yeah,
Boil it
I
down.
give Guardians, I give Guardians 2 about the same score as the first one. I think they're both fucking really good for different
Yeah.
reasons.
you
And
go.
similar reasons at the same time. So I give them both like a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
I think they're fantastic movies. They're super fun to watch. They're extremely rewatchable.
Yeah.
Like I think I've seen Guardians 3 times on my own accord. I'll just watch
Yeah.
it again.
Guardians
Like I was on a plane and I just watched Guardians a couple of times and I had fun. like it's just fun. It's just fun to see characters interact with each other, which is why Tarantino movies hold up so well. You just want to see characters
Oh,
do,
hell yeah.
which is
There
why
you go.
NetherRealm games do so well. They just have character interaction all over the place. Like
Yeah.
Just
that
do
is
it right.
enjoyable.
Just do it right.
Just do it right. Make it fun.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what this movie did. They made it super fun.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes when it's just about the action, that's all you kind of want to see. You'll
Yeah.
pop in the DVD. I'm like, oh, this stuff's boring. I'm just gonna get to the good part right
Fate
there.
of the Furies.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
you know, I do that. You know, I love Superman, but I do that for Superman. I just go to the very end. Sorry, not to compete, but like, yeah, it's like I want to watch the cool shit. This I can watch start to finish, man.
Yeah.
Like I would love to watch
Because
this one
the
again.
characters are actually
I'd
what
love
you
to
look
watch
forward
part one
to.
again.
Yeah.
So exactly, it's the characters. So I'm with Max,
Yeah.
man. It's the easy 9
Characters
out of
do it.
10. Like the first one felt fresher, and I'm like, holy shit, they can do this. And the second one was, you know,
They can still do it.
they could still
And
do
they
it.
can still
There
make
is.
it
There you go.
not like feel super forced.
9 out of
and,
10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
9 out of 10. Yes, it was very positive. I honestly, the funny thing is that I can't find any flaws with the movie. It has like
It's- I think
don't see
yeah,
any flaws.
there's
Yeah.
some flaws in my opinion, like
Yeah.
especially the gold people are just there just to be there. at times.
There's not really,
I
especially
like them
for
as assholes.
well, especially for the adversaries. There's not really particularly good motivation except for the Ravagers. There's not really a clearly defined, decent motivation for the main villain. I mean, it's there.
Yeah.
He probably has the best defined motivation. Now that I think about it, of like any of the Marvel characters.
It reminded me a lot of, now that I'm thinking about it, I remember Star Trek 3, that one that just came out.
Oh, yeah. That's a good movie. Everyone should watch that movie.
Movie's fucking
Star Trek Beyond's
great.
really
I need to watch it.
Star Trek
I never
Beyond
seen
was great. And it has a similar thing where it's like the bad guy's motivations are revealed in the end.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's there. I mean, if I'm going to score it, I'll give it like an 8 out of 10. I loved it. I mean, I think you're never going to have a bad time watching it.
Yeah.
Like, is there things they could have done better to make it a 9, to make it a 10? Absolutely, but that's every fucking
How long was this movie, by the way? It was over 2 hours.
2.5 hours?
It did not feel that long.
I don't think it was, because I think the previews were just that long. I think it was 2 hours, and it was like an extra half-hour previews.
I think it was about 2, but it still didn't even feel like a 2-hour movie.
That's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
It's a really don't know the time.
I'd say it's an 8 out of 10. It's just a little below the first.
Yeah.
Because in the sense that it kind of like jars a bit with like the middle part where it's like having those like big emotional arcs, then go back to down, saying another big emotional arc. Now we're gonna go down. Another big emotional arc. So it's all like.
If I'm going to name a problem that I specifically why I docked it a point, comparatively speaking, is the second act has nothing truly going on.
Right.
I mean,
There's a lot of characters walking around and shit.
Yeah, they're like, we're walking around, we're talking, fight, we're walking around, we're talking. And now it's entertaining. Like there's moments there that like
it's the
will have
secondary
you
characters,
laughing like
Rocket and Yondu carry.
But it's still there's nothing really.
You know what it is though? You say, they're walking around and talking. I found the conversations to be interesting, as opposed to, let's say, Suicide Squad, where there's parts where there's walking around and talking. And guess what? I'm not interested in anything they have to say. It comes down to the conversations themselves. If the conversations are interesting enough, I want to see it. I want to hear it.
I saw what you did. Like, there's not much going on, but I still care.
The dialogue's fine. It's
liked
just
it.
that the pacing is a little slightly off from,
it's definitely got a unique
It's kind of
structure.
like, it's like if your favorite Michael Jackson song is bad, and your second favorite's Thriller. It's kind of like the Thriller to bad, or vice versa, depending on how you, feel.
They're really good. It's just that it sounds a little different.
Like, the way I look at it is like, the first movies, which came out first, Max, bad?
Between which one? Thriller came out first before Bad.
So, like, say Thriller's your favorite. Thriller came out first, and then this is bad, and you still love it. But maybe Thriller's kind of like your go-to favorite. I don't know. It's that's the way I kind of look at it for this one. So I think, in other words, if you like Guardians of the Galaxy, you're gonna love it. I don't think there's gonna be a way you're gonna dislike 2.
Yeah, exactly.
I cannot foresee you disliking 2 if you really like.
You'd have to try pretty hard not to like this.
Unless the only reason you liked 1 was Peter Quill, because he takes a back seat in this one. Yeah, he does.
And even then, he still has like the main motivation.
Oh, he's still.
It's like he's the crux of the plot, but hardly in it.
Yeah, he's still the main character, but he's not on screen for nearly as much.
It was good. So I think the next time we're going to meet up is probably going to be for a movie that I am way more anticipating now than I was from the first trailers, which left me a little like...
Yeah, you were kind of
Aliens is like some of my favorite franchises, and it was kind of like, But they have shown a short film that talks about the characters from the previous movie and what is leading them up to Alien Covenant, and it got me super interested. Like, I was like, this is really cool, and I desperately want to know what world these characters are in now and how they have gotten from where they were to what's happening now based on that little movie. Apparently there's 2 more that aren't out yet. I super want to see them. I can't wait.
Yeah, they're coming.
So Alien Covenant coming up next. Thank you dudes for watching. Peace!